Hi, this is Kendra from Pencil and Pigment, and today I wanted to talk about developing your eye as an artist. And by that I don't mean just making sure you go to the optometrist regularly. I mean how you see the world, how you look at the world. I mean it in that respect, in that regard. So I'm just going to draw a little bit, do a little bird. I am using a Caran d'Ache luminescence. This is the malachite. Here's a General's pencil extender. I have just about used this color up. But I want to talk about how to look at things with your eye and how to develop that. So when you go to draw, when you go to create, you can really strengthen your skill and ability as an artist. Whether it's to follow the rules, whether it's to just understand them, or whether it's to break them and create something new and create something maybe stylized in a way that you like to create and draw. So let's kind of get into that. There are so many things you can look at to develop your eye, and it doesn't have to be art in a museum. Yes, that is a great way to do so, but you don't have to go anywhere, especially if you can't. So I want to make sure this is as inclusive as possible to folks. I'll link some museums that have really gone above and beyond with taking photos of their art so you can see their art as zoomed in as possible. If you want to see that in really stark detail. There are obviously things you already own around your house. So covers of books, insides of books, illustrations, anything you own, even to advertisements that you receive in the mail. Looking and identifying some of the things that are key can really help develop your eye and strengthen what you create, how you create, what that looks like. So for when you're looking at things, as an artist, as a creator, as someone that wants to make and put out art or just crafts or things into the world, if you're bored with your style, or you want to strengthen it, or you just want to sort of level up with what you're creating, there are ways to start to look at art and look at everything you see that can help with that. The first thing I would recommend that you start to pinpoint out, which is the easiest to identify, sort of, is color. Now, if you suffer from some sort of color blindness, if you have trouble seeing certain colors, there are like apps and things you can use that can help you identify. I know there are glasses that can kind of color correct for folks, but I believe those are really, really pricey. I don't think those are like super budget from what I read. But start to isolate and pinpoint out different colors. Now, an easy way to do this would be to make a viewfinder. Just grab a piece of cardboard, cut out a little square with an X-Acto knife, and then start holding that up to individual pieces of art. What you want to do is you want to be able to isolate individual colors. So when you're looking at a picture of a flower, isolate the shadow colors, isolate the highlight colors, isolate the colors used for the petals. I mean, this could be in nature. You can go out to your garden, or if you're going out on a walk, take a little tiny viewfinder with you. You can stick it in your pocket. You can make one out of anything, really. I only suggest cardboard or cardstock or something just so it's longer lasting. But you can make a viewfinder out of anything and really start holding that up to things in nature and pinpointing the individual colors that you see from whole objects. And the reason you want to do that is so you start to realize, like, shadows aren't gray. Most of the time they're not. If you're looking at a beautiful orange flower, the shadow might be dark red. The highlight might be yellow, might skew a little bit yellow. You want to be able to pinpoint individual colors when you're looking at things. When you're looking at individual things in nature, in your life, maybe you're looking at packaging or a photograph that you want to recreate, being able to pinpoint the individual colors used in the shadows, used in the highlights, used in the main body of whatever you're creating, being able to pinpoint those is a great skill to have. That strengthens your art. It strengthens how long it takes you to create your art, how long it takes to color match, to recreate something. Maybe you don't do hyper realistic, or that's not really of your interest, but being able to understand how colors work in shadow, in shade, in nature, in photographs, and all these things just helps make your art stronger. And the stronger your art is, the better your art becomes. And you can start achieving some of your longer lasting goals that way. So learning to look at color, isolate color would be probably first steps, and get in the habit of doing that with everything. And just, I mean, you don't have to make comments per se, but just being able to pinpoint and pull out color and know that, oh, wow, that's really aquamarine. That's, oh, okay, I wouldn't have thought to use that color. But being able to see it individually as it is incorporated into something already can really help give you ideas, help you understand color theory, help you develop different color ideas. It's just a really great way to train your eye and become stronger as an artist. Another thing I would recommend as you go through life, as you go through the world, as you look at things that enter your space in your life, would be value. So value is the light or darkness of something. So when you are looking at a flower on your walk, how dark orange are those petals? How light orange are the new ones being developed? Maybe there's some that are still growing, that are still budding out, and those are a completely different color value, and that is worth noting. So it's not just the color now, it's how light and dark those colors are, how rich those colors are, how saturated those colors are, or how pale those colors actually are in nature. Some colors are very, very vibrant. One of my favorite things in nature to see is the scarlet ibis, because it looks fake. It looks like somebody turned up the saturation on that bird, and it just doesn't look real anymore. And that's a prime example of, you kind of need to see it to believe it. And then once you see it, it's unlike any other color that you would have expected, especially to find in nature. It's why I like birds as a specific example. You don't have to go bird watching if you can't, or hit up your local zoo if you don't have a local zoo. Just Googling in your favorite search engine different birds, or type in your favorite color and see what birds are that color, to help you sort of retrain your eye, and then pull out the color and pull out the value of those colors. Because not everything is the same value. You have darks, you have lights, and that really enhances your art when you incorporate a wider value range. It just makes it look richer. and more stylistically interesting, visually interesting, more accurate to how the world is. And these are things you can do in any aspect of your life, wherever you're at. You can just start looking around at your surroundings. Again, a viewfinder can help. Holding up, you know, in comparison, something to something else. So if you have a really interesting leaf that you find on a walk, being able to hold that leaf up to other leaves and going, oh, okay, so this magnolia leaf right here is a very dark green on this side, and it is a paler light brown, like a camel colored almost on the other side. Being able to pull out those colors and then going, well, how does that compare to a budding leaf? How does that compare to a different plant altogether? Obviously they're going to be different, but seeing the subtle changes within the leaf itself, seeing that some bits might be light green towards the edges, or in the veining might be a completely different color. Being able to pinpoint that, so when you go to create that, you understand what that looks like in nature, and you can take that knowledge, take it with you. Whether you choose to apply that to other leaves or make a stylistic choice with something else you go to draw, you now understand that some veining in some leaves is darker and in some it is brighter, almost a chartreuse lime green. Pulling out the color and then pulling out the value. The other thing to train your eye for is shape. And I don't mean the shape of the whole, I mean the shape and the parts that make up what you're looking at. So if you can start simpler with a leaf and go, yes, this leaf is teardropped, or this leaf is a triangle, or maybe it's comprised of rectangles or squares. Really pulling apart the individual shapes of something you're looking at can really help when putting together an illustration, a composition of more items than one within an illustration. When you go to draw, let's say from a photograph, if you are doing gifts or commissions or whatever you are working on, if you are doing animals or anything like that, being able to identify the direction in which the ears take shape, like look at an African wild dog. They have a really unique shape of ear versus something like a fox, and understanding the difference between those two ears and being able to pinpoint and identify that ear shape just looking at it, and then moving on to the next shape, the shape of the head or the shape between the ears before you do the next ear, can really, really help with accuracy, with laying down color, with putting your picture together. All this helps strengthen your eye and helps strengthen your art and what you're making as an artist. So everything you go to look at, start pulling apart color, value, shape. If nothing else, it will give you inspiration and ideas for different ways to put color together, to understand color, to understand shapes. Maybe you're not interested in any of that style of art, and that's not something that interests you. But being able to do that when you go to a museum to look at art, to identify, okay, this is an interesting use of color. I really like that the shadow of the snow is periwinkle. It's not gray. Being able to identify and understand that will also help with art appreciation whenever you go to look at art. whether it's art, formal or art you want to purchase. Understanding choices that artists have made can help you with the choices you need to make when you create. Whether it's something, part-time, full-time, whatever your goals are, reverse engineer those and realize that in doing so, you can really start to go through life and go about life really seeing the beauty of everything and identifying how much beauty and incredible visual things there are everywhere around you. So if you are interested in people or portraits, if you are able to, safely, I know some people are still sort of quarantining, or if you are in a vulnerable group that needs to be protected, maybe outside at a park on a weekend, people watching and looking at noses. I'm telling you, noses are the best. Identifying shape, size, value, color. Skin tone is a very difficult thing for folks, and you can really get a leg up on that when you start to look at the world around you and understand some of the things that you are visually seeing. If you were interested in sort of urban sketching, urban drawing, take a ruler with you or some way measuring and really sort of try and equate and shape things together. Look at doorways, spacing, windows. Yeah, there are very specific rules and things with that depending on what country you're in, and building laws, and looking at things like ADA compliance with like wheelchairs and accessibility, but understanding how those shapes fit, the angles of those shapes. Really start looking at line and angle would be the next one, and identifying line weight. How thick is this line? How thin is this line? Is this outlining something? And looking at the angle of that and seeing, okay, this is going to go off the page a little bit, how all the angles work together to show perspective, whether that be in the foreground, middle ground, background, and start to put some of those together visually with your eyes. You can take that with you everywhere you go. If you sketch out in nature, not needing to constantly rely on your phone for references and just being able to train your eye so you can do all this is such a valuable tool. It's so helpful not to be able to rely on technology, especially if you're in places where you can't get the coverage or the service for your cell phone. Is super, super helpful. Gosh, I really hope you can see this on film. Sometimes I draw a little pale. And then being able, the last would be able to put all this together. Seeing the color, seeing the value of the color, seeing the shape that the color is within, seeing the lines, seeing the curvature, seeing the line weight, all of this put together will help train your eye as an artist. And like I said, you can do it with anything. You can do it with photos and advertisements that are sent to you, any magazine you have. Start pulling out the individual colors and understanding the color theory. I can tell you right now, color is very strategic in advertisements. It's meant to excite or it's meant to calm. It's meant to get your attention. So if you are going into something more like graphic design or something like that, looking at logos and advertisements and mailers can be really, really helpful. It just helps strengthen everything you go to do and look at, because you've trained your eye how to look at things and see these things. And to me, that's worth its weight in gold, because once you start doing it, it's actually kind of fun. And everything just takes on a whole new meaning. Color takes on a whole new meaning. Shape takes on whole new meaning. Styles take on whole new meanings. You really begin to parse out, look at your favorite artists and illustrators and creators on different platforms. Instagram is a great one. It's free, and there are a ton of artists. Instagram is made and built of artists. And start sort of piecing out the art that you love to look at, the art that you really admire, the art that you strive to create. It's kind of a reverse engineering, you know, within your eyes, within your sight. If you are visually impaired, having someone that can help you equate colors or piece out colors, that can talk to you about that, that can be very, very difficult for artists who have visual impairments. It can be very, very difficult. Pantone is a company that makes swatches and swatch books, and I think they have an app. It is not budget. eBay, you can check used places. Poshmark might have some stuff. Mercai might have something. I don't know. Just search around if that is something that you want to start color matching specifically to printed objects, to how you're designing within programs. If you are a digital artist, a digital illustrator, creator, and you want to color match specifically, you may have to invest in some color options like Pantone, a company like that. Again, it is not budget. Save up. Pantone has a book. Your local library may have it. It doesn't have every swatch ever, but it's a great jumping off point. There are color theory books that can help with this. Color wheels, value charts, all this can help you pinpoint color. This can help you find value range. Little items like these, I believe these are like $3 to $5 each. Amazon carries them, some art stores carry them. Can be really, really helpful for strengthening your art, strengthening your eye. So think about the elements of art, the elements of design. And once you get down some of the ones I've mentioned, you can then move on to things like repetition in art. Are they repeating the same element, the same shape over and over? Are they trying to draw your eye and make you look at something or look in a specific direction? Are they using specific colors to highlight and bring out other colors? Those are very advanced techniques. But once you start training your eye to piece out color and you start realizing, okay, well, if red and green are complementary, orange and blue, look how they use the blue of this sky to highlight, you know, the orange of the boat, for example. And they're showing the sun at a specific angle. That really sets the mood. And they've done it in a very pale value, so you can tell like the sun is setting, for example. All these things within how you look at art can help strengthen your art. I hope this video helps. I hope this gives you like a jumping off point. Anything you look at can be looked at, if that makes sense. seeing that these are very strong dark values, seeing their shape as rectangles. These are art rectangles, and seeing that in all pieces of nature and everything you look at. Here, let's look at something really quick. So here is just a seed packet, and obviously the illustrator has drawn zinnias. Let's look up close. Okay, so these are some flowers that I really enjoy growing. They're kind of cut and come again flowers, but you can really see the scallop shape of the petals. Now they are not perfectly uniform, therefore they look more realistic. They start smaller, they get bigger. They are outlined in a deep orange, maybe blood orange if you will, and they are pale orange inside with a little bit of yellow highlights. And as you get towards the shaded area, it is solid orange that's really, really red leaning. It's a very warm drawing right here. You can see here with the pink, they've done the same thing. So pale value, dark value, highlight, shadow. This is a very strong pink. This is a very pale pink. There is yellow in the middle, identifying individual colors within an illustration in everything you go to do, and it'll strengthen your eye as you create, as you draw. And it'll add that extra level of depth to your pictures and make you an even better creator, an artist, an illustrator, however you choose to identify and whatever you choose to make. Being able to do this with your eye, oh, it's so good. It's so good. I would say that because I've had art classes, they didn't talk about this. And when I took color theory, they didn't talk about this either. And I feel like it's something, the more I draw, the more I've just begun to do on my own. And I thought, you know, if we start talking about some of these things that I naturally do, it might help others speed up their process of leveling up their art. Because it's taking me a long time to realize that if I start doing this, looking at the world in these ways, one, the world is infinitely more beautiful and I'm just more appreciative of life and everything around me, which is always a positive thing. But that my art begins to be more exploratory. I take more risks, more chances. I try new things. I push the boundaries of my skill sets, and it just makes me better. It's never made me worse. So I highly, highly encourage, however you choose to assimilate different types of media, that you start breaking it down with your eye. I hope this video helps. I hope you have an absolutely wonderful week, and I will talk to you later. Bye.